Since this story is going to be essential reading in some of my upcoming videos, and it's not a familiar story to casual Bible readers, I'm going to read selections from the story of Baucis and Philemon so you have a point of reference as well as some visual notations. The story isn't that long, and of course, it's widely available in public domain translations, so I encourage you to read it yourself in its entirety. From Ovid's Metamorphoses, Book 8. Jupiter once came here, disguised as a mortal, and with him his son, the messenger Mercury, wand and wings set aside. Looking for shelter and rest, they called at 1,000 homesteads. 1,000 doors were bolted against them. One house, however, did make them welcome, a humble abode with a roof of straw and marsh reed, one that knew its duty to gods and men. Here good Philemon and Baucis had happily passed their youth, and here they had reached old age, enduring their poverty lightly by owning it freely and being content with the little they had. If you came, it made no difference to ask for the master or servants. The household consisted of two, each giving and taking the orders. So when the gods had found their way to this humble dwelling, the door was so low they could only cross the threshold by stooping. Philemon moved forward a bench and asked them to rest their limbs. Ovid spends a substantial part of the story going into elaborate detail to describe the food preparation, but I'm going to skip over that. Again, I encourage you to read the whole story in its entirety. It's not very long. Meanwhile, whenever the mixing bowl got empty, it seemed to refill of its own accord, with the wine welling up by itself. Stunned and scared by this wonder, Philemon trembling and Baucis lifted their upturned hands to heaven and fervently prayed for forgiveness after serving so poorly prepared a repast. They then set out to placate their mysterious guests by killing the goose, their only one, which guarded the tiny farm. But the bird kept fluttering around, exhausting the elderly couple and long eluding their grasp, till at last it appeared to have flown to the gods themselves for refuge. "You must not kill it," they said. "We are gods. Your neighbors shall pay the price they deserve for their wicked impiety. You alone shall be spared from the coming disaster. We simply ask you to leave your home and walk in our footsteps up to the mountains." The couple obeyed, and, using their sticks to support them, they wearily climbed the long, steep slope. They were just a blowshot away from the top when they turned and saw that the other houses were under water, with only their own still standing. And while they gazed in amazement, lamenting the fate of their neighbors, their little old cottage, a small home even for two to inhabit, was changed to a temple. The fork-shaped props were replaced by columns, the thatch turned yellow, and now it appeared that the roof was gilded, the doors engraved with reliefs, and the ground paved over with marble. At last King Jupiter gently addressed them. "You good old man, and you the wife that his goodness deserves, now name whatever boon you desire." Philemon conferred for a moment with Baucis, before advising the gods of their joint decision. "We ask to be priests and to guard your temple, and since we have passed our years together in peace, let the same hour carry us off, so I need not look on my dear wife's grave, nor she have to bury my body." Their wish was granted. As long as life was allowed them, they served as the temple's guardians. When time had taken its final toll, and while they were casually standing in front of the steps of the building, telling the sanctuary's history, both Philemon and Baucis witnessed their partner sprouting leaves on their worn old limbs. As the tops of the trees spread over their faces, they spoke to each other once more while they could. "Farewell, my beloved," they said in a single breath, as the bark closed over their lips and concealed them forever. Still to this day the peasants of Phrygia point to the oak and the linden nearby, which once were the forms of Philemon and Baucis. The story was told me by trustworthy elders, who had no reason to lie or deceive. I saw for myself the wreaths that were hanging upon the branches, and, placing a fresh wreath, murmured, "Let those who are loved by the gods be gods, and those who have worshipped be worshipped." So even if you never heard it before, the story might sound familiar if you're acquainted with the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Both stories are a theophany, a story in which virtuous humans extend hospitality to humble strangers who are then revealed to be gods in disguise. No, the latter story has nothing to do with condemning homosexuality. But there are also traces of it in the story of Rahab in the book of Joshua and the Levite and his concubine in the book of Judges. In the New Testament, the story is alluded to in Acts chapter 14, in which Paul and Barnabas are mistaken for the Greek gods Zeus and Hermes. This is a reverse hospitality narrative. Once it is revealed that Paul is not a god, the people stone him. It's a shame that this story isn't better known among Christians, because you can't fully appreciate the Bible without it.